you made mention of popping. You know, you don't want to get popped. But we'll come back to the hold on to that though. When she was married to her first husband, was she taking you guys to the prison for visits, or it was after she divorced?
No, it was during that time. So remember, I said from the time I was like 4 or 5, I thought that her first husband was my dad, and I just knew that someone was calling. That was around like age 4 or 5. And then I remember when I was like 6 years old was the first time she took me to see him. So she was married during that time, but we didn't go many times though, because sometimes he was like far away, like very, very far from where we lived. We lived in Texas. So if he was in Georgia, that was like, I think maybe like an 8-hour drive.
Okay.
So
That makes sense then. All right, now let's come back to popping. I thought they only popped African kids. I didn't know you guys also got popped.
I don't know why Black Africans have the, I guess, misconception that Black Americans are just unruly. Our parents don't give us rules. Our parents don't whoop our ass. Our parents just let us run wild and crazy. No!
It's not because of that. It's because of what we see in the movies. You know, you don't, it's like, you do something bad, you're like, you're ground to see guys.
Goodness.
But anyway.
I always hear like Black Africans, they'll be like, oh yeah, when we were growing up, we got this, we got that, we were punished this way. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, what do you think happened to me when I did something I wasn't supposed to do? I got a treat, money, like.
Okay, all right. But is there a point in time, because for me, it was at the point in time where I think my mom, was it my mom or my dad? I'm not really sure. One of them, like, not even popped me, like, beat me with a twig, and
or like a switch.
Like, yeah, and I sat outside under a tree like a ninja. I was like, are these people really my parents? I started to think like maybe I'm adopted, you know, because you know, you go to school, you watch movies, you see the way parents who adopt kids treat them. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'm an adopted child for real. I think I was in grade 4 or 5. I was like, I don't think these people are my parents. I don't think this woman is my mom with the way she's too strict, you know. Is that how you felt sometimes?
Yeah, but okay, so like I said in a previous video, I did not just live with my mom growing up. I lived with my aunt growing up. And there was 1 year when I was like 9 years old, I did live with my dad for a year. So it's like different situations for each living situation, I guess you can say. With my mom, I do feel like a lot of times she took things overboard. Like all the time. All the time she took things overboard. And I even mentioned, I was telling you that when I got a little older, I was maybe like 25 years old, I ended up telling my mom, like, girl, like, you was going overboard. Like, you were like just over the top. Most 99% of the time, just over the top. She did not apologize, but she explained it that she explained it in a way where she explained that my second oldest brother, her second oldest child, he was just, I don't know what word to use. He was very just did what he wanted to do, when he wanted to do it, how he wanted to do it. He didn't care how many times you whooped him. He didn't care what toys you took away. He didn't care about not going outside. He didn't care about punishment. Wow. He didn't care about only having a mattress in his room. He did not care. He did what he wanted to do when he wanted to do it. And my mom was saying because she had to be so strict and on him that she just treated us all the same, except for my youngest brother because he's 8 years younger. So he was like way, way younger when all of these things were happening. So of course he wasn't getting it. But yeah, that's what she said. You know, I had to be really hard on him, really strict. I had to beat his butt. So I treated everyone the same. But my problem with that is not every child needs to be beat. Not every child needs to be cussed out. Yeah. Not every child needs to be... Yes, not every child needs to be disciplined the same way, you know?
Yeah.
So she was just like, you know, that's that was my rationale, is what she said.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, when you look back now, on your reflection of your mom and dad, your direct reflection, or you're not really like them when you catch them?
Oh, heavens no. Heavens no. I guess I can say, once I got to a certain age and I started to like really understand things, and sometimes family members would tell me things. I was able to kind of like sit back and think like, okay, you know, this is how my mom was, this is how my aunt was, this is how my dad was. Are those the people I want to be? You know,
okay.
And for a little while, I kind of felt like I was like my little, you know, people call my mom. I felt like I was being a little, you know,
really?
Yeah. Even though I didn't have like kids or anything, but just like her attitude, how she came off, how she treated people. When I stopped and looked at myself, it was like, damn, like I'm kind of, you know, being that person, and you know, I didn't like how, you know, I was treated sometimes. I didn't like how she acted, you know, sometimes. So I had to do a lot of unlearning, because you can only do what you see, you know.
Did you speak to anyone, or you just worked on yourself by yourself?
No, I just worked on myself by myself. You know, it took a long time. And my cousin BJ, he's older than me. BJ is like years older than me, but he was one of the like main people that I would talk to. And if I'm not mistaken, I was kind of telling him like, hey, you know, I'm starting to notice some things. I need to work on them. And I remember at one point when I did get like a little older, a few years down the line, he was like, you know, I'm very proud of you, because you recognized the negative things, you worked on those negative things, and I can actually see like a difference in who you are, how you act, how you treat people, just in general. So that made me feel good.
Shout out to you, BJ.
Yeah, and he's not the only person. I've even had friends tell me the same thing. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Wow. For me, I'm nothing really like my pops, you know, because I never really lived with him like around. So I would say just that when I was, I think around age 12, 13, my grandma used to say, "Oh, your dad does this." So that, I think that's the only. But in terms of character, I would say that maybe just a little bit. Like, he's a bit impatient, but he's impatient all the time. It's not like sometimes he has to tone it down. No, he's like, boom, boom, boom. I want it now. You should do it now. Why are you delaying? But apart from that, sometimes impatient is just human nature.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. and Alexander, I don't want to say he's impatient. I don't want to put that on him, but man, when he wants something,
he wants it. So I think that, just that. But the others, no, I haven't really noticed anything. But like, moving past that, are there any behaviors that you still think you adopted from your mom, or even your dad, or your aunt?
I think maybe coming off as like blunt. A lot of times I say things, I don't mean it how I say it. It just comes out that way, which is why sometimes I'm slow to respond to people, because I need to think about, okay, how can I say this in a way that's not going to like offend someone or upset someone or make someone think like, oh, she being a B word, you know? And the reason being, hold on, baby. Okay. Reason being is because, again, I lived with my mom, I lived with my aunt, and when I lived with my aunt, my grandmother lived in that house for a little while, so I was around my grandmother too. All three, blunt, AF, like very, especially my grandma. So my grandma has kind of like passed it down to her kids, and then like I said, you most of the time you do what you see, So that's all I saw in like every environment, except for with my dad. He wasn't like, but that's what I saw.
Yeah, like what I was gonna say was, I experienced the same thing when, like, we get in an argument or something like that. I'm someone who wants, and I think maybe it's for my dad, because I'm someone who wants to solve the problem. Because I don't want to be in an environment where everyone is just quiet when we've had an argument or something. I wanted to pass. Let's talk about it, and then if after you want to be quiet, you can be quiet. But no, she will be quiet for days. Not just a day or hour. She will be quiet.
Say what you want.
She will be quiet for days, and then. But what I like about her is, after she's had a moment and we talk about it, it's like we move past that.
Yeah, that's me.
We don't get back to it. So
yeah,
it was hard for me to get used to that initially, but now I'm like, okay, this is her, so I need to stay in my lane.
I have to tell him all the time, you do not want to talk to me when I'm pissed off, because again, if we already like mad at each other, we had a disagreement, and I say something in the heat of the moment, again, I may not be trying to say it in a mean way or in a blunt way or in a, like this is what it is type of way, but that's how it's going to come off, especially if we're already mad. So give me my space. Like,
I didn't know that initially.
But I've told you this so many times, babe, and he'll be like, wait, y'all. He'll be like, okay, I'm going to give you your space. When you're ready to talk, we can talk. He would come back like 20 minutes later. You ready to talk now? I'm still upset. And every time you come in talking about, are you ready to talk? You didn't reset it. So now you gotta wait longer.
Guys, I can't. No, I can't. But anyway, that's fine. That's why I love her, So, anyway. So, are those the only behaviors you can think of? Being blunt?
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest one. I think that's like the biggest one.
How about if others are being blunt to you? Do you accept it the same way that you think that they would accept it?
So, you know what? For me, I've learned to not take things personally. I have a friend in China, and we've been friends for I think 3 years now. And one time she told me, I can see why someone would kind of mistake something that you say because, you're blunt. And she was like, now that I know you, it doesn't bother me anymore. But initially, she's told me, okay, girl, okay, what you mean by that? What's going on? That type of thing. But she knows me now. She knows that I genuinely do not mean any harm by how things come out sometimes. Like I said, if I'm slow to respond, it's just because I'm thinking about, okay, how should I say this? Because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, right?
So I think with all of these things that we've said, sometimes when kids grow, they absolutely, like here in China, right? You can see those who were in captivity back home. They didn't have any freedom. Once they're able to leave that zone, it's like they don't even want to talk to their parents. It's like, all right, I'll talk to you when I have the time, but you're not a priority in my life right now. So when the kids grow up, it's like, why should I even talk to you? All I think about or all I remember is you being mean to me and all of that. So is there anything that you think you can do differently with Alexander so that he doesn't...
I think the biggest thing for me is just having open communication, allowing him to speak, allowing him to ask questions, allowing him to have an opinion, allowing him to tell me like, Mom, what you did hurt my feelings, or Mom, like what you did or what you said, like, you know, you accused me of something and it didn't happen like that. I want him to be able to tell me those things, you know, because you know how it is, like,
you never know.
Yeah, and I want to be that parent that's going to be open-minded. I want to be that parent that's, you know, big enough to apologize and say, I'm sorry, baby, like, you know, I overreacted, or I'm sorry, you know, I thought this, even though the situation was really something else. You know, I definitely want to be that parent. I think that's probably like the biggest, just allowing him to speak up and communicate. I want him to be able to come to me about anything. I'm sure at some point he's gonna be a little teenager. He's not gonna tell everything, you know, but at the end of the day, I want him to know if I do want to go and talk to my mom or my dad, I can do that. I don't have to be scared. I don't have to hold back. I know my parents aren't gonna judge me. They're gonna keep it real, because you know mama gonna keep it real with you, baby. But at the end of the day, it's like, he can come to me. You know, I don't want it to be a situation where he grows up and he's like, I'm grown now. I don't want to communicate with them. I don't want to have a relationship with them. I think that would break my heart. It will, yeah.
Because, you know, I was so scared to ask questions.
Same.
I was so scared, guys. I didn't really. I don't want to put my dad out there so much, but how to be a man, I learned it on my own. I learned how to be a man on my own, how to respect women, how to treat women, how to treat myself, how to develop confidence. I learned that on my own, and I just wish that he gave me that opportunity, you know, to learn something from him. But now that I've done it myself and I've been able to come this far, I would try my possible best to impact that to Alexander. I mean, he can pick whatever works for him. Yeah. And at the end of the day, he can also add whatever he wants to add to it. But being present in his life, best version of myself, the best dad ever, so that he can, you know, come to me and, you know, just chill and talk. I can do the same with my dad, so I wouldn't rob him of that enjoyment, that kind of life. I want him to come to me. We go fishing, whatever, anything, you know. So I think that's what I'm going to do differently, to make sure that I give him all the things that I never got, both physical and emotional, everything to him, and he can add whatever he wants to add it and become the man that he wants to become. All right. So guys, thank you so much for sticking this far. If you did, thank you so much. And we know it's a long video, we know. But this is how the format moving forward will be. Just relax and just talk and make sure that, because we don't want to put ourselves in a small box where we can really express ourselves fully, because we have so much to say. So thank you so much. And if you are new here, you're welcome. There's always a space for new subscribers. So hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that anytime we post, you will be updated. Thank you so much. And to end the video, I'm Andrew.
I'm Free.
And we are TheGhaMericans. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye.